Okay, so this is a funny story. Actually, a couple funny stories. First funny story, we have actually been recording for 46 minutes, and I got a little message as Garri was talking that said, due to an unexpected error, ScreenFlow, the program that I've been using, has unexpectedly terminated the recording, and so we lost all 46 minutes of what we were talking about. So, slight frustration there, but nevertheless, we are finally launching episode 7 of 4 Gamers Only. It's been a good 1.5 to 2 months since our last episode, which I must apologize for. Some personal stuff has been going on. I've been working a lot. I've lost all passion for the degree that I just earned from college, which I graduated from, by the way. And anyway, long story short, we were gone, now we're here. Back in business with episode 7. I am the commissioner, as I was formerly known on RDGH, Glenn Gordon. And with me, I have KGB Garri Bagdasarov. I forgot we haven't been using nicknames on 4GO. That friendly huzzah there, the most friendly KGB agent in the world. So you think. How have you been, Garri? It's been a good 30 seconds since we've recorded a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I my mood hasn't really changed much, but
okay,
it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Ben is not here. Let me just double check on that since it's been a little while. Nope, still not here. Ben's not here. He was actually supposed to be on this episode, but he is gone. So as I said in the previous attempt to record this, if you see an Englishman who really loves goats, that's probably Ben. Just send him our way. No dirty references this time, Garri. or do make a dirty reference, I don't care. Also, we have someone brand new to the show, and I will allow him to... That sounds weird. I don't allow people to do things. Just introduce yourself. I'm going to stop talking.
Permission to speak, sir.
No!
Hi, guys. My name is Pedro Gonzalez. I am... well, I guess you could say I'm a long-time gamer. I've been gaming since the NES era. Since I was 4, that was like 1990.
I was born that year.
Yes, well, see, there you go. I was born in '86, so I'm not that far off from you.
No.
You might be hearing this little noise around with me. I actually have my parrot with me. Her name is Bailey. She's 9 years old. She's a blue and gold macaw, and she is very finicky today. I couldn't trust her to be at her cage, otherwise she'd start making some noise. So at least for this one, for the duration, she'll be with me. I guess my nickname's the Birdman, I guess, huh?
Pedro the Birdman Gonzalez. That makes you sound like a DC superhero. Okay. So we've talked about a few things already on the first attempt at this episode. We'll probably go back and touch on them, but it was interrupted in the middle of a discussion about Mass Effect 4. And I'm just going to go through this quickly. Here's what's going on. There's been a leak about Mass Effect 4 that's come from a survey. And, you know, with leaks, you take them with a bit of salt, but there is some stuff here that makes it seem really valid. I'm looking at NeoGAF here as I say this. The person who posted it goes by Lackey2 on NeoGAF. Lackey2, not Lackey Chew, like Pikachu. Here's the stuff he's saying. He's saying normally he wouldn't really give this any credit, but some things stood out to him like a sore thumb. First of all, he said it's professionally written, doesn't feel like fan fiction. The surveys are quite common, and they do happen. Leaks do happen. And also, he says Dragon Age Inquisition leaked in the exact same way right before its official announcement, and those details all ended up to be true. So, I mean, Dragon Age and Mass Effect are both dealt with through EA, so, I mean, that does make it seem pretty valid. So here's what's going on. Here's what we're looking at as far as leaks go. Mass Effect 4, it says it's set in the Helios cluster of the Andromeda galaxy. Andromeda is a real galaxy, by the way. It's a kind of a twin galaxy to the Milky Way. It's pretty close by as far as space is concerned. 4 is removed by time and space from the Commander Shepard trilogy and its ending. You play as a Pathfinder explorer that's leading an expedition to colonize humanity, to make a new home for humanity. If you played the game Mass Effect 3, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but if you know the ending to Mass Effect 3, this makes me think that there could be some kind of tie-in with the events that happened in Mass Effect 3's ending. You get to encounter, quote, savage, untamed lands, cutthroat outlaws, and warring alien races in an effort to survive and colonies. This person has bad grammar. Survive and colonize, I believe he means. Andromeda is home to a mysterious alien race called the Remnants, who've left their vaults and ancient technology throughout. There's also the Ket, which seems to be an antagonistic race, and also makes me think of the Geth, kind of spelled similar, K-H-E-T, and antagonistic like the Geth. Anyway, game objective, you've got hundreds of solar systems. The game's over 4 times the size of Mass Effect 3. You collect resources, develop your ship, crew, and arsenal, while engaging in diplomacy, while discovering the mystery behind the Remnants. So you're multitasking. You've got squad mates, you make friends, you take 2 with you on missions, kind of the same as previous games. Loyalty missions, you've got dialogue, meaningful choices, hopefully more meaningful than Mass Effect 3, 2, and 1. You've got the Tempest starship, new starship there, the Mako vehicle, which I hate. You've got planets, hundreds of them, colonies, blueprints, which allow you to craft alien technology, and crew with customizable skill trees, gear, and weapons. There are Remnant Vault raids, there are Ket outposts, which are wave-based combat challenges, strike teams and active strike teams, which sound like Destiny, and Horde mode. So all of that. We're going to go rewind and repeat some of the stuff we already said. Pedro, what are you thinking of all this? Do you think this is legit?
It definitely sounds much more professionally done than your normal fanfic. And honestly, we're coming pretty close to E3. So it's very interesting that a leak would occur this close to it. You know, it's now that time where certain info about upcoming titles starts to come out to the public, to kind of get them excited. It definitely seems like an interesting prospect, exploring a new galaxy, meeting new aliens. I mentioned before how, or at least last time when we recorded, how I wonder if we'll still see like the Krogan or the Turians or, the various other races that we've come to know throughout the Mass Effect trilogy.
Okay, good news. In just 7 minutes and 35 seconds, we caught up to where we left off. And Garri, I got the error message when you started talking, so before we switch to you, I'm just going to save this. 1 second. There we go. All right, all saved. And so, Garri, what do you make of all of this? What were you going to say before my program rudely interrupted you?
Well, what I was gonna say is, from everything that I've just heard, to me, it doesn't seem like much has changed in Mass Effect. I don't know how mechanics will work, but it seems they're just taking the same ideas and blending them all together from the last 3 games.
So I guess my question to you then is that a bad thing or is it a good thing?
It's not a bad thing. But in my personal opinion, like unfortunately, I hope the story is going to be much better than it was, at least in the first Mass Effect, because I predicted the entire story of the first Mass Effect. The moment that they said, what is the Reapers? Is that the ancient race?
Yeah.
The moment they mentioned their name, I already knew that was the main villain of the entire Mass Effect universe. And that they're going to show up and all this. It happens in any game. The moment you mention some ancient race, that's probably going to be the main villain that shows up.
Okay, but at the same time...
Here it sounds like the same thing. They found these, ancient ruins from the civilization that, ruled the Andromeda galaxy. And I'm pretty sure they're going to come back. And to me, it just sounds like they're repeating the same story with different races.
Well, I mean, from what it says, as far as antagonists go, you have the Ket, which they said seems to be antagonistic. And you have the Remnant, which is a new race as well. And it says they're an ancient race who've left ruins and technology throughout the galaxy. I mean, that doesn't sound like the same level of villainy as the Reapers, you know? I mean, in fact, it sounds a lot more like the Proteans.
Yeah, the Proteans. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, the
So,
Proteans. That's it, Proteans.
I mean, do you still get that same feeling of, oh, I already just figured out the whole game?
I kind of do. Like, yeah, things may change here and there. Maybe this race isn't as evil as the Reapers were, but I'm still pretty sure they're going to return in some way to do something.
Oh, okay.
One way or another. Like, you know, the mining for ore and all that to build your spaceship. Okay, I've already done that. I did it in the last 2 games. How you're going to change it is obviously the big question. I think both ways they did it in both Mass Effect 2 and 3 was very poorly designed. I didn't want to sit there clicking on planets to mine stuff. I didn't want to drive around on some stupid machine doing the same thing. So I don't know, like, to me, from everything that they've said, it doesn't seem like much has changed. But obviously we'll have to see where it goes. As far as characters go, I'm pretty sure, depending on which time period it takes place, is it taking place after Mass Effect 3 or during or before, I don't know. But if it's taking place after, I'm pretty sure some of the characters will return in this game. Maybe not in playable form, but I'm sure you'll encounter some of them.
Well, I mean, it says it's separated by time and space, and given the events at the end of Mass Effect 3, do you think we'll run into, like, the actual characters in some form, or just, like, you know, hints of their stories?
Maybe hints at their stories. Maybe they'll run into them. Like you said, separated by time and space. Does that mean that it takes place in a different dimension?
I mean, it could just take place 1,000 years afterward. You know?
Yeah, I got the same vibe when you said that. Outside of time and space, maybe it's like an alternate, a parallel timeline that's different.
I didn't get that.
It is the same story, just with different characters. I don't know.
I didn't get that. It didn't say outside time and space. It just said separated by time and space. So what I got from that was it happens in a different time period in a completely different place.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, It could happen in another dimension. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, that's just what I got from it.
Another concern, because you mentioned like a combat system similar to like Mass Effect 2 and 3. A lot of fans of the first Mass Effect were kind of saddened by the fact that it kind of went from role-playing game to more action run-and-gun game. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring back any of the old role-playing elements, or maybe play it safe and continue making it an over-the-shoulder shooter with you know, tree skills and stuff like that.
You know, I'm so glad you said that, Pedro, because I've been having this argument for the longest time. To me, personally, Mass Effect 2 and 3 is not an RPG. It is a third-person shooter. When I see that game nominated for Best RPG and Best Action Game at the same time, it blows my mind how that's even possible.
Well, I mean, to me, it's kind of both, isn't it? Because, I mean, in a way, third-person shooter is the method that you take to get through the game. But, I mean, it's also kind of a genre of game. Whereas, I mean, in a way, it's kind of structured like an RPG. I mean, you have this big world, you've got all the NPCs, you're playing this character. So, and to me, it feels like both, doesn't it? I mean, do you really...
Yeah, but if you say it that way, then technically GTA is an RPG. Call of Duty multiplayer is an RPG.
Well, Call of Duty multiplayer doesn't have a story, or
doesn't it? It takes place in the game world story, so you can pretty much come up with your own story. I'm fighting these guys, while in the story mode, these guys are doing the same thing.
So where then is the line drawn between, like the method, a shooter, and the play style, the style of the game, and like an RPG? Where's the line between that?
To me, it really depends on the type of game it is. Actually, like for me, I consider RPG very soul-based, very tactical in ways, and most of the time turn-based. Whether
very methodical.
Yeah.
I don't know about turn-based. See, I played Tales of Symphonia back when I still used my Wii, and the thing about that game is it's definitely an RPG, but the combat style is live combat. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not turn-based. And to tell
Oh,
the
yeah.
truth, to tell the truth, I actually really loved it. You know, I think it doesn't have to be turn-based, does it?
Well, there's two different kinds. There's your action RPGs, you know, kind of like your Legends of Zelda. That's still an RPG. It still has RPG elements, but it's got more of an action adventure feel. And then you got your turn-based. I don't think RPGs necessarily have to be turn-based per se, but there is a different. I want to say pacing. I guess you could say like the first. I definitely understand, like, because the first Mass Effect, you play it, and it's a very it has a similar feel to the second and third one, but it's more slower, meticulous. You know, it didn't have this action pace stuff. Like the action was more spread out in the first one.
Okay.
Whereas in Mass Effect 2 and 3, you feel like you're going to the next object, next object, next object, next object. And, you know, it definitely it kind of watered down a lot of those RPG elements to a degree. Brought it a bit on took it on the back burner for like a more, you know, run and gun feel, because that's what a lot of people like to play these days.
True.
See, I will say this: if I was to compare what an RPG is to what a third-person shooter is, I would say Fallout 3 is the best way to do it. And that's with the VAT system. To me, the VAT system is pretty much turning that game into an RPG in my mind. Like a turn-based RPG, because that's kind of how it works. You know, you pause the game, okay, I want to shoot, you know, this specific target, my guy shoots, and then the other guy shoots while I wait for the VAT system to recharge for me.
Yeah.
That's technically, in my opinion, why I consider Fallout 3 an RPG and Mass Effect a third-person shooter.
I will say this: if you ask me what kind of game Mass Effect is, I'm going to tell you a third-person shooter. That said, I still recognize the RPG elements. I mean, there are definitely parts of it that feel like an RPG. There are definitely things in it that you would find in an RPG game. But if you ask me what kind of game it is, I'm going to tell you it's a third-person shooter.
And I definitely agree with you. Like, you can't, like, nowadays it's almost impossible to find a game that doesn't have RPG elements of some kind in it. Like, there's always some sort of leveling up system now. There's always some sort of upgrade system now. It just depends on what kind of upgrade system, what kind of leveling system it is. But
okay.
to me personally, it's for it to be an RPG, it's more slow, it's more calculated, it's more strategic. Sorry, and sometimes for me, it's mostly turn based.
Okay.
Like, even you said Tales of Symphonia. If you really look at it, yeah, you can still attack however you want, but there are still times where you have to wait for something to recharge, which then turns it into turn based before you can attack again.
So cooldown timers make it turn-based?
In a way, because you still have to wait. You can't really do anything if you have to wait and while the enemy attacks you.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily what cooldown timers do. I mean, because you have more than one skill. If one skill's on cooldown, you can still use another.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you definitely have skill trees, and so do your partners. When you take cover, you know, you use a skill, you wait for it to cool down, and maybe while that's going on, you use your gun to pull enemies back. I don't think anyone's arguing that Mass Effect 2 and 3 still have RPG elements to it. It's just not the same level as the first one.
Right.
They kind of brought it more action oriented to bring a wider audience into the franchise, I think.
Yeah.
Well, while we're here trying to define what an RPG is, I mean, that's a tough question in itself.
Okay, let me just say this. I think the thing that really bugs me the most about it is when a game is nominated for two different genres. When it, in my opinion, it cannot be nominated in two different genres. You can't nominate, you know, a game in the third-person shooter genre and a first-person shooter genre.
No,
it has to be one or the other.
I don't think that's really possible, is it? Because, I mean, unless you're in
Mass Effect is a lot of the times I see it nominated for best shooter and best RPG. Like, to me, it can be both. It has to be one or the other.
Okay.
I don't care which one it is, but it has to be one or the other. It can be both.
What if there was an award for best RPG style shooter?
That's fine. That's kind of like action adventure and just adventure.
Okay.
genre.
Opening up like a new genre for awards. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That's what it is. It's an RPG style shooter. Mark it. It's in the books. All right.
Role-playing shoot 'em up.
Oh, there we go. We need to coin a phrase. We need to coin a genre name for these things.
Survival horror was the last one that was coined, so.
I hate those things. I don't like horror games.
Oh, you don't see much of them these days. I tell you that much.
And car combat, you don't see car combat. Twisted Metal made that genre.
I got to meet. This sounds like it's completely out of context, but it's not. I got to meet Troy Baker at MegaCon.
Oh, nice.
That was awesome. I got a picture with him, and he made comments about how tall I am and all of that stuff. So
I didn't get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to get in it because his line was so massive.
Goodness, yeah, we went on Sunday. The line wasn't, but we got there earlier. We waited like half an hour for the guy, and he came out, and everyone was super excited. He like stood on the chair, and he's like, "Come on!" and everyone cheered, and that was all. Yeah, he's hilarious. He's a funny guy. But I say that because I was thinking of The Last of Us. He's Joel in The Last of Us, and I mean, I liked the game. I liked the story. It was definitely a great story, but I'm just not a huge horror fan. And ask Garri, I am so sick of zombies. It's not even funny.
It is becoming a bit overplayed, but it's still what sells. That's the thing.
Why does it sell? What's so special about zombies? It's the same freaking thing every time.
Because they're stupid and they're easy to kill.
Yeah. Though I do like the way The Last of Us implemented zombies. You know, using the fungus.
You can. Sunset Overdrive has zombies. I mean,
yes, but the thing is that kind of fungus exists in real life. It doesn't attack humans per se, but
that's true.
Yet.
See insects. How it's really cool and really creepy.
Actually, in a previous episode, we found an article by someone who studies fungi, and he did this big article on whether or not the events in The Last of Us could actually happen in real life, and it was a fantastic read. I've got to see if I can find that again, and I'll repost that on our Twitter.
Oh man, I'd love to read that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Oh, here it is. I found it. It was fantastic.
All it would take really is one mutation, and it could target
exactly.
I'm not going to go through the whole thing again right now. Maybe next week I'll take a look at this pandemic article once more, just really quickly, just because it's such a great article. But here, let me send this to you over Skype so you can read it when you can. Just talking about the cordyceps fungus and what could possibly happen in real life as it's related to the game.
That is going to be cool. That's going to be a fun read.
It is. It's a fantastic article.
As a fun fact, there's an enemy in the Dot Hack universe that's called Cordyceps, and it's a mushroom.
Oh, well, there you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're at Cordyceps. You're like, oh man, it's creepy.
It's like that's kind of like the Mandragora, don't they do like the Mandragora sort of like that?
Yeah, they scream and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so Mass Effect 4, I am looking forward to it. I've been itching to get back into that universe. It's one of those universes where it's like, you finish Mass Effect 3, and, whether you liked the ending or not, a lot of people hated that ending. Whether you like the ending or not, there's this feeling of, goodness, this universe probably still has so many more stories to tell. And so I am eager to get back into the fold here. What system are you guys going to get it for? Not that it matters. I'm just curious. I know what Garri's going to get it for, but what are you going to get it for, Pedro?
I guess that depends on whether me or my brother pre-order it first. If my brother pre-orders it first, it'll end up on the PS4. If I pre-order it first, it'll probably end up on the Xbox One. I'm
torn. Since I have both of them, it feels like, I'm glad I have both of them. Like, that's the best thing a gamer could do, buy both consoles. It opens you up to a world of gaming you didn't know. Like,
oh man, I feel like all the big three has like such strengths.
Absolutely.
They have like really great content. Their hardwares offer unique experiences. I'd like to, if I can help it, I try to own all three.
And let me tell you this. I have had a bunch of PlayStations. In fact, I still have most of them. I have a PS2, I have a PS3, I have a PS4, I have a PS Vita, used to have a PSP, and early on I played my neighbor's PlayStation 1, I loved playing Spyro on that thing. So I have a lot of experience with PlayStation. This is my very first Xbox, and so far I'm loving it. I mean, I love my PlayStation, but I'm loving my Xbox One too. So, I mean, don't shut yourself out. Don't deprive yourself of a complete gaming experience, because all of these consoles have a lot to offer. That's my PA announcement for the day.
I agree with it, man. My favorite PlayStation title is Medieval. I love that series.
I'm still looking forward to Ratchet and Clank. I love Ratchet and Clank. The movie's coming out. They're remaking the first game, like not a port, but rebuilding it for the PS4. I am ecstatic. I want that.
You know what I would love to see make a comeback? Jak and Daxter.
Jak and Daxter. You know,
I miss that.
Crash Bandicoot has had rumors and stuff, and
oh, Crash!
Oh my goodness, we're having nostalgia
Have you
moments.
Activision?
It's never gonna happen.
We're having a moment just now.
Oh, that's so sad.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Crash Bandicoot is not gonna happen.
Oh, come on!
I remember people went nuts because they thought that they were going to put him in Skylanders. I think there was a rumor that they were going to make a Skylanders version of Crash, and people kind of flipped out about it. And I think they turned around and said, no, we're not making Crash. We're not making Crash a Skylander.
Yeah, the closest we got to Crash Bandicoot was PlayStation All-Stars, and Activision shut that down.
Activision's stupid. It's like, what the heck are they doing?
From what I remember reading, I think the rumors were that they wanted too much money for the character, and Sony wasn't willing to pay the money for it.
Well, it's always money. It's always money.
Yeah, that and Spyro, both of them, actually. They own both of them.
Yeah,
actually, Spyro is pretty much dead at this point. It's just Skylanders. That character has become obscure in that universe.
I actually have the figure. I actually have the Spyro figure just because it was Spyro.
The very first one, the first time they did it, right? Have they even released him again since then?
Oh yeah, they released a variant for every game, I think. But it's like he's in the back seat, man. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
He's just a character in that universe now. He's no longer really that important, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not digging the design too. He doesn't look too. He's seen better days.
Okay. Well, while we're on that subject, let's take a look at this. Pedro, you'll be familiar with this. We were talking about this at work at some point. Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh yeah.
Is owned by Rare, which is owned by Microsoft. However, Rare used to work a lot with Nintendo. I think it used to be owned by Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a second-party developer for Nintendo until 2002, when it was bought out by Microsoft Corporation.
See, this is why Pedro is also an awesome person, because he's like an encyclopedia of video game knowledge. Just like that sounded like something I could read off the internet. But anyway, Phil Spencer is Xbox's head right now, and he was replying to a fan question, ironically by someone named Pedro. Yeah, at Pedro Darkinson is his Twitter handle. I don't think
I promise you, that wasn't me.
All right. The question was, Nintendo is holding a poll for the next Smash Bros. DLC, and Banjo is a popular choice. It would mean so much if you could get him in. Phil Spencer replied, I think it would be cool if Banjo was in the next Super Smash Bros. DLC. We've worked with Nintendo on Rare IP before, no issues. Here's the thing.
What?
Here's the thing. From that, a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, we're going to get Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Bros. That's not what's going on here. Phil Spencer saying on Twitter, hey, I think it would be cool if Banjo was in the next DLC, is not the same as, hey, Nintendo, here, have Crash, or excuse me, have Banjo for DLC. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, you're exactly right, yes. It depends on two things, if he's popular enough and if Nintendo's willing to do it.
Right, I mean... Phil Spencer's saying, hey, I think this would be cool. A lot of people are saying Microsoft is offering Banjo-Kazooie for Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. That is not true. They might still want money for it. They might still need to work out a deal. There needs to be assets considered and exactly how the character is portrayed, what's going on. Microsoft's still probably going to want some control over certain things. This is not an offer of cooperation. This is just Phil Spencer telling a fan, hey, I think it would be cool. If it happened to work out, I think it would be cool. We've worked with Nintendo before. I don't have a problem working with them again. But that does not mean Microsoft has gone and said, here, have Banjo-Kazooie.
But I will tell you this much, though. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll get some.
I was going to say that.
Poor
yes.
Garri.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
I was just going to say that. Yes, they would have to do some negotiations, like especially like if Banjo was to be a let's just say that it works out and he becomes a Smash Brothers character. That would then mean that maybe, not definitely, but maybe Nintendo and Microsoft might work out a deal in terms of like splitting like profits for like say a Banjo-Kazooie amiibo, you know, that can be used to train for Smash Brothers and stuff like that. Honestly, though, if I was kind of running this, if what we've been hearing about Rare and Banjo-Kazooie are true, there are strong rumors going around that Banjo-Kazooie might be announced as a new Xbox One title at this year's E3. Now, if this poll was to go down, and from what I've read in a lot of polls, Banjo and Kazooie are #1. They are like the #1 pick from a lot of fans in Smash. If this were to go down, Microsoft would actually have a huge advantage by letting Banjo and Kazooie be on there because it puts Banjo and Kazooie back into the spotlight. There are a lot of people, kids, who own Xbox consoles but don't necessarily own a Wii U. But what they might own is a Nintendo 3DS. If they were to get Banjo on Smash, it would probably also end up on the 3DS. They get to see what they play like in the game, Banjo gets more elevated, gets more mainstream attention, and it helps the sales for a Banjo-Kazooie game on the Xbox One, should it end up on the Xbox One.
That is all very true, and you know what? It's also beneficial for Microsoft, I believe. I've always said I don't see why it's such a crazy idea for these companies to kind of work together, especially in this era of video gaming. I mean, it's kind of like wrestling. We had like the Attitude Era, you know, where we had Sega does what Nintendo don't, and it was all about, oh, this console's better, no, this console's better. That was really stupid.
Hey, man, first console war, man. That's what it was like, though. Competition is good.
No, I meant my imitation.
Oh.
But, yeah, competition's good, but this is a different kind of competition. There's competition, but there's also some degree of cooperation. And the fact is, if Microsoft were to get Banjo and Kazooie on this, that's promotion for Microsoft on the competing console. What more could you ask for? But I don't want to cut Garri off anymore. Garri, what were you going to say?
Sorry, Garri.
Well, my biggest question right now is, at one point in time, did Microsoft ever work with Nintendo outside of buying Rare from them?
Oh, yeah, post Rare buyout, yeah, they worked a lot because Microsoft at the time, now obviously times have changed because you got the Windows Phone, but back then Microsoft didn't have a handheld market. So even though they bought out Rare in 2002, you still got Banjo-Kazooie games on the Game Boy Advance. You still had It's Mr. Pants, which is another Rare game. I think for the Game Boy Advance. I think it might have been for the Game Boy. But you also got Viva Pinata on the DS. Diddy Kong Racing on the DS. So even though Microsoft still owned Rare and a lot of those assets, they still made games on Nintendo's portable handhelds because well, Microsoft didn't have a market for it, so it only made sense to collaborate with Nintendo in that regard.
Could it also have been because there were still contracts that needed to be fulfilled?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
No, I believe like when they bought Microsoft, they had the rights for specific characters. Obviously, not Donkey Kong or Fox or Tricky or Crystal. You know, a lot of those carried over to Nintendo. But like original characters, original content like Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker, and any works after that were all property of Microsoft. But I believe it was Microsoft and Nintendo struck a deal where they said, okay, well, you know what? You can still have these games on your portable games. They will never be on your consoles again. But on your handhelds, we can still make a profit. We could split the profits on that, and you can have it on your handhelds. And then that kind of slowly faded out as sort of 2006 came rolling around. And yeah, that kind of collaboration kind of stopped. It didn't stop entirely. You still got your sporadic releases. But yeah, it eventually ended up stopping. But yeah, collaboration between Nintendo and Microsoft in regards to Rare was a thing, even post-Rare buyout. So they were willing to work together then. That's what Phil Spencer was referring to in his tweets. We have worked with Nintendo in the past. No problems, because they have. And I think that's brilliant. Just because you're competing doesn't mean you can't collaborate every now and then. You know, if it's profitable for both.
Absolutely, and I think there is some real benefit in certain types of collaboration. I mean, like I said, I mean, if you have your name, if you have your characters on a competing console, I mean, that's promotion for you. That is promotion for you. So, I mean, I guess depending on how it's used, of course.
Yeah, Microsoft can only benefit from this.
Right. So, I mean, if it happens, that's fantastic news for gamers and game companies alike.
If it happens. I personally don't think there is even a slight chance that it will.
You know, I think it could, because taking a look at the fan response, I mean, it's Microsoft. They're not going to ignore that. They're not going to ignore the money. Let me be honest. Microsoft will not ignore that money.
They've ignored the money they can make on Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
True.
Well, Microsoft is going to see, albeit friendly, but still some competition now with Platonic Games starting up. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
I did. Didn't it used to have a different name?
The only handle they had on Twitter was Mingy Jongo.
Okay.
Back in like 2012. Well, was it 2012? I think it was around 2012. Grant Kirkhope, the composer who did the music behind the Banjo-Kazooie series, he ended up on a extended episode of Game Grumps called Guest Grumps. Mm-hmm. And what he did was he said that he would like to get the group back together again and make a proper sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. Obviously not Banjo-Kazooie, but something in the same spirit, and put it on like a Nintendo console. And what happened was he ended up meeting with some ex-Rareware designers, and they were getting something together. And eventually the project got canceled because they all had work elsewhere, and they just couldn't get it together. And then around the time after Connect Sports Rivals release, there was massive layoffs at Rare, with some Rare veterans actually ending up leaving as well. What happened was they all got back together again and formed Platonic Games. And what it is a company that's going to relive the old glory days of Rare. And their first project is a spiritual successor, not a sequel, a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, a game in the same spirit with different characters, a different world, but the same feel of the original Banjo-Kazooie games. We're starting to see a trend in indie titles where, like, in like maybe 2010s, you saw a lot of indie games make games that were like based off the NES and Super NES. Now we're seeing the return of the 3D platformer now. You got A Hat in Time, Lobo Destroyo, Clive and Wrench, Lucky's Tale. These are all games inspired by games like Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Banjo-Kazooie, Jak and Daxter. This is kind of like a renaissance in 3D platforming, and when Platonic announced what they were planning on doing, it lit gaming on fire briefly, because it's like, oh my god, these games are really coming back. And Microsoft would be really smart to kind of capitalize on this sort of re-emergence, you know, to bring Banjo-Kazooie back to their roots and bring it back to players, put it back on consoles, or, you know, their console. And just, you know, now you've got a big Microsoft character doing a platform game, just as platform games, 3D ones, are coming back.
Exactly. I hope to see more Ratchet and Clank stuff. I'm sorry, I'm a Ratchet and Clank. I love Ratchet and Clank. It used to be Sonic that I loved. I still love Sonic, but until he somehow gets out of his slump, if that ever happens,
he has his ups and downs.
He does. It's
Sonic Generations was great. Sonic Colors was great. I liked Lost World, even though other people didn't. And then we had Boom.
yeah, and then Boom came. I'd like to keep us moving forward, but I will just say this real quick about Banjo and Nintendo. Fan response is huge. I sent you on Skype that tweet that Phil Spencer posted, and if you look at the replies, people just about wet themselves. Lots of caps. Oh my goodness, yes, please, I need this. Please make it happen. So
I'm sure I've tweeted in there somewhere.
So thank you.
You know, as much as Phil Spencer may want it, I highly doubt Microsoft will let it happen.
You know, I don't think. I think there's a chance. I mean, you could be right. It could just all fall out into the ether somewhere. But
I don't know, man. Phil Spencer's made some magic happen with Xbox, man.
Like
this man is fantastic. I like the direction he's taking Xbox.
They needed it because they had Don Matrick, and he was an idiot.
Yeah, he was very anti-consumer.
He was arrogant. He did not listen to the consumers. I mean, Xbox is lucky. Xbox is so lucky to have Phil Spencer, because if they did not have Phil Spencer, they would be in the dirt right now. They would be in the dirt. I don't think they'd be dead. I don't think they'd be not selling any consoles whatsoever. But I do not think they would be anywhere close to where they are right now, if not for Phil Spencer. If not for Phil Spencer, he is now he's now kind of a protagonist, whereas Don Matrick felt more like an antagonist. He's the face of the Xbox brand, and he's really making a hugely positive change for Xbox. He's really community friendly. Xbox desperately needed that. I am so happy. And Xbox right now, Xbox One, I think, is a big success. It's not as, its unit sales are not quite as high as PlayStation 4's, but it is still great, and it's a great system, and it's thanks to that man.
Yes. Yeah, he was a godsend for Xbox. Hands down.
Goodness. I mean, what was Don Matrick's smoke? Like, what was he on?
I don't know, man. A lot of people who knew him, from what I heard, he said he wasn't very pleasant.
Goodness. Like, that man, you know, and not only him, there were other people too. Like, remember Adam Orth? That guy who people were complaining about something with the internet, with the always on, and he said basically,
oh my god,
he said deal with it.
That was insane. Like, I'm like saying, how do they plan on selling this? How do they plan on selling this with all this stuff on? You know,
I don't know.
I'm so glad
a PR nightmare
the way they did for Xbox One.
And here's something interesting while we're on the subject. E3 this year, Xbox has been pretty dry the first part of the year as far as exclusives go. PlayStation 4 had Bloodborne come out and The Order, and I don't know, there might be another one. I'm probably not, but
Street Fighter V.
Was that PlayStation exclusive?
That is. Street Fighter V is going to be a PS4 exclusive.
Well, look at that. Okay. Well, as far as that's concerned, I mean, Quantum Break for Xbox, there hasn't really been any exclusives, at least any big-name exclusives. Quantum Break, originally slated for later this year, has been delayed to sometime next year. So, which is a disappointment. It looked like a good game. I mean, I'm talking about it like it's gone forever, but no, I mean, it's delayed. So, I mean, Xbox has been pretty dry. However, Phil Spencer said pretty recently, I think also in a tweet, that for E3 this year, he wants to focus on first-party exclusive. He wants Microsoft's E3 this year to be more about first-party exclusives than in previous years. So maybe things will pick up for the Xbox brand after E3. We'll see.
You know, that's a great thing, because, you know, the trouble with the blessing and the curse of the third-party exclusive is that it definitely bridges the gap between your major releases, and they're fantastic titles, but the curse is that it's on other platforms. What's going to really sell your consoles is unique experiences. That's why, even though it hasn't really worked out so well for Nintendo this generation per se, a lot of people look fondly at Nintendo because they have unique characters and experiences.
Right.
And Microsoft has a treasure trove of first-party titles, especially after acquiring Rare. You know, they got Perfect Dark, they got Banjo-Kazooie, they got Conquer, they got Halo, they got Gears of War, they got Fable, and we just aren't seeing enough of that these days.
Well, I think the reason you're not seeing it is they don't have the developers, the first-party developers, to make them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to tell the truth, Microsoft does own a decent array of studios. It just feels like they don't do anything with them. I mean, if you look at the Xbox 360 and the PS3 was known. It was known that the PS3's strength was first-party exclusives. If you wanted unique experiences, first-party exclusives, you looked at the PS3. Whereas if you wanted a fantastic online multiplayer experience, you look at the Xbox 360. I think that has sort of been carrying over into this generation. You can see the remnants of that because you have Sony. I mean, actually, that's probably unfair to say because I'd say as far as exclusives and third party, they're kind of on the same level right now. But you had Sony that was kind of pushing, you know, first party, this, that, and the other. And everyone kind of looked at Microsoft like, okay, now what? Because the biggest first party experiences they had for the 360 were Halo, Fable, and Forza. Gears of War, I think, too.
Yes, yes.
Those were, like, I couldn't really pull too many off the top of my head. Now, granted, I did not own an Xbox 360. But as far as, you know, games that you hear about, those are pretty much it. And then you look at PS3 and, you know, you've got Uncharted, Ratchet and Clank, all sorts of other ones. And, I mean, I guess the question was, is Microsoft going to be able to compete now that the consoles are kind of on a similar level as far as architecture, as far as, you know, what they can do? It's going to be about the games. It's going to be about what's exclusive to each brand if you're talking about competition. So how will they compete? Will PlayStation be able to compete with Microsoft's online experience? Will Microsoft be able to compete with PlayStation's first-party experiences? And I think so far, I mean, so good. We've had some good exclusives for both brands, some of them temporary, yes. And, I mean, that's what I think that's one of the big things that Microsoft will need to focus on because its online experience is already pretty polished, but it needs those first-party experiences. It needs those unique things that keep bringing people back to Xbox beyond just, hey, we have a smoother online experience.
Yeah. Well, not only that, Sony also has pretty much the backing of almost every Japanese developer and publisher.
Oh, absolutely. Xbox One in Japan is basically non-existent right now.
Yeah. Well, not even that. Even when they announce the games for Western market, it's usually exclusive to Sony's console. Like they just announced Star Ocean 5. It hasn't been announced for the West, but I'm pretty sure it will be, and it's exclusive to Sony. Mm-hmm. And I believe earlier this week, Square Enix said that they're going to be showing off a lot more titles this coming year that are exclusive to Sony as well.
Persona is a big one. It's Japanese and it's exclusive to Sony. I mean, Capcom. I mean, the games that Capcom's making, do they put those on Microsoft consoles as well? I don't think I've seen one.
Yes, they do. The thing with Street Fighter V is Sony is helping them develop it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's why it's exclusive to Sony at this point. They're pretty much funding that game.
It's basically like Bayonetta 2 with Nintendo, essentially.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. From what I know, Capcom said that they couldn't afford to make Street Fighter V, which blows my mind. Being their most profitable franchise, I can't imagine how financially desperate they are if they can't afford to make Street Fighter V.
Well, Capcom was in a pretty tough position a little while back. We were wondering if it was going to get bought out or something, weren't we?
It still kind of is. Their shareholders have basically said, listen, if somebody wants to buy us out, we're removing all the things that let people block people from buying us out. Yeah, I guess the shareholders aren't too pleased. I think Capcom's in a little bit better straits, but they're still not faring too good. From what I can tell, Resident Evil, the HD one sold really well. Revelations 2, I think, is selling pretty well. So I'm pretty sure they're making back some of that money. For
Street Fighter V, Sony is funding it, and they're co-developing it with Capcom. So there is no timed exclusivity with that game. That is Sony exclusive. Okay. Their name is on that game.
Honestly, I don't know why Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft don't do more deals like that. Like, I would absolutely love for Nintendo to go to Capcom and go, hey, listen, we'll fit the bill for, like, Mega Man Legends 3 for the 3DS. You know?
Capcom doesn't care for Mega Man. Ever since Kenji Inafune left, they killed that franchise.
I know, and I'm a Mega Man fan, dude. I love Mega Man. And so, and look at all the love Mega Man's been getting on Smash, you know, with the character being included with the X and Proto Man pack, which I downloaded a couple days ago, the costumes for the Mii fighters, and then the costume for, like, the Mii Racer in Mario Kart 8. You would think that maybe a collaboration somewhere down the road, but I don't know.
Well, Japanese companies are always collaborating. I mean, we've seen Namco, Capcom, and Sega collaborate quite a bit recently. Project X Zone, and they just announced Project X Zone 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just got announced not too long ago.
Yeah, those studios are always collaborating in some way. I mean, Capcom collaborated with Nintendo with even Monster Hunter, where you get like Mario and Luigi characters or costumes for your little cat minion things.
I keep hoping that with the impending release of Mighty Number 9, Capcom might announce something, you know?
I'm worried with the impending announcement or release of Mighty Number 9, Capcom might just shut that game down completely for copyright infringement.
I don't know. I don't know if there's grounds for it. I mean, the game is very similar, but different enough. Like, I played the beta of the game, and it plays differently from Mega Man, just a little bit.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they won't try.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold it. I wouldn't put it past them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. This is something we were talking about on our previous attempt to record this episode 7 of 4 Gamers Only. If you have a PlayStation Vita, you're probably... Actually, I don't know how you feel about the Vita. It's a great console, but it's been really out of the spotlight as of late. The last big thing we heard about it was that the YouTube and the Map apps were going down the tubes because of deals with Google. However, I mean, it's not completely out of the loop. We just got a Hulu Plus app on the Vita. And if you were kind of an original, if you were one of the first people to pick up on the Vita, you could have some money coming your way. There was a... crap, I did this last time too. What's the lawsuit called?
Class action lawsuit.
Class action lawsuit. Can't I remember this? A class action lawsuit against the PlayStation Vita for false advertising. And when I first saw that, I was like, okay, here, something stupid that people are complaining about. But actually, I think it's pretty legitimate. There's false advertising involved. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is involved. It's a government agency. For those of you who might not be from the United States, it's a government agency that kind of makes sure that businesses are doing what businesses are supposed to be doing and not breaking any laws. Well, anyway, let's take a look. On this transcript, it's available on ftc.gov. You can find it. Just go to ftc.gov and search for Sony Computer Entertainment America. And in the listings is this document. It has transcripts of kind of the commercials in question. Here's one of them. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. It's a voiceover. It says, with PlayStation's cross-platform play, you've got game wherever you go. And there's a TV set and a PS3 console and a PS3 game on the TV screen. Voiceover says, with cross-platform gaming, you can play your PS3 game, pause it, then pick up right where you left off on your Vita. And you see the PS3 game being played, and then an animated hand pushes a button, and the PS3 remote turns into a Vita, and the hand pushes a button on the Vita, and the game just plays where it left off, all seamless-like. It uses Killzone 3 here, and the voiceover says, with Remote Play, your PS Vita can tap into your PlayStation 3, so PlayStation 3 games and content are easily accessible on the go. And you see Killzone 3 being played on a TV, and then also being played on a Vita, but then the console moves away from the living room to like a bakery, or something like that. Talks about Remote Play. Another TV commercial here. You have a guy sitting on the couch playing a PS3 game, and the voiceover says it's a problem as old as gaming itself. Stay home and just keep playing, or get to work on time so your coffee breath boss doesn't ride you like a rented scooter.
It's such a great line.
I know. And then you're on a subway car, and you're seeing the PS Vita, and the voiceover says, "Who says you have to choose?" And you see the man pause the PS3 game, and he picks up the Vita, and quick download screen, and he walks out the door, and he's still playing the same game on his Vita while walking down the street. Hashtag game changer. Never stop playing PlayStation Vita. Ding! And then it talks a little about the 3G. Remember that time when the Vita was announced and AT&T kind of sucked at the time? It was suffering. It was suffering under the added stress of the iPhone, which was exclusive to AT&T at the time. And AT&T is a lot better, for reference. I love AT&T. It's been great to me. And anyway, it was talking about the 3G with AT&T, and it kind of positioned that as, you can use your 3G to play your games anywhere. All of this stuff is not the case. In the PS3 era, remote play and cross-platform play was not nearly this fluid. It was not nearly this available either. I mean, the game had to be specifically made for it, and most of the time it was not. Garri, I think you mentioned there were only a couple games that you remembered doing that. And goodness,
it was mostly the Lego games.
Right, and the 3G and AT&T thing, I mean, it didn't work the way you thought. It was basically just a way to, update your map app and all of that stuff. Because, I mean, you had to pay for the 3G. AT&T doesn't do unlimited 3G anymore. No one does. I mean, actually, I think Sprint does, but Sprint's desperate. So, I hate Sprint. So, you have all of that going on. And so, I guess my question is this legitimate? Like, is this a good reason to come at Sony with a class action lawsuit?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Well, it pretty much technically is false advertisement in almost every way. Everything that they showed off there, the PS3 and Vita could not do. You can do it with the PS4, right now, but with the PS3, you just couldn't do it. First off, you had to go into your PS3 and set it to remote play, and then go to your Vita and then set it to remote play. Make sure that they had like the same code or something like that. Like you get a code number and you gotta like put it into your Vita for it to recognize the system, and then it will link up, and then it'd be extremely choppy. It'll just be really bad. Believe me, it's just terrible. And that's really all you can do. Like, there's no way that you can pause the game and then connect to your Vita. You would have to quit the game completely. If you don't, it just kicks you out of the game in order for it to do the remote play. So everything that they showed, all these commercials should have been used for promoting the Vita with PS4 remote play, not PS3.
Honestly, I'd say it works pretty well with the PS4, but even now, it's not perfect,
No, it's not. But everything they showed off, it just never worked that way on the PS3. And it's really technically all grounds for false advertisement if you're advertising it with one system and the other when it didn't work that way at all.
What are your thoughts here, Pedro?
Well, I never really got much use out of that remote play when I got my Vita. I got it for the games at the time. I wanted to see what the gameplay experience was for the Vita. And though I enjoyed it at the time, I never could get it to work with my PS3 for some reason. There were very few titles. But it definitely seems like it was intended, like they intended for it to work, but it didn't quite go to plan, If it works well with the PS4, which I haven't had a chance to use with, that means they eventually got it right, but for the time, with that huge extended period of time, you had something that essentially was advertised but wasn't exactly working as advertised. So I'm no lawyer, but I could see that kind of being the case, that it was sort of false advertising, despite their intentions.
For Sony, before the PS4, because the way they've marketed the PS4, the way they've pushed it, they've done a really great job for the PS4. But before that, Sony had a track record of this. You remember the original announcements for the PS3, the big fat one with the stupid baby commercial?
Yes. It's creepy.
There were demos of it. There were announcements of it there, I guess, conferences with it, and they were talking about how it would have multiple HDMI ports and all of these extra features that never came to pass. They had a history of saying, hey, here are our intentions, and then not being able to follow through on those intentions. I think they've finally wisened up to that. They've finally been able to see that and be like, hey, let's not make a promise that we are not sure we can keep. Which, I mean, is kind of basic in my eyes if you're a company, but, better late than never. And they've kind of had a history of this. So, I mean, would you say maybe they just had this coming? Maybe it was just a matter of time before...
I think the difference between those is I think they pretty much everybody kind of knew that these types of features or something will be something that we'll add later on, or with the PlayStation Slim or something like that. Whereas with the Vita, it was one of those things where this is what it's going to do when it launches, like 100%, and it never did that.
They can't just add new HDMI ports onto the PS3 once it's launched,
Well, they could have when they released it as the Slim version, but they didn't.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like, them saying, okay, when they first announced the PS4, all these things they talked about that it's going to be able to do. Suspend, resume play. We barely got that a year later, almost.
Well, I mean, that was said at the conference where
I know,
the
but
PS4.
I think the difference, like I'm saying, is they pretty much kind of said that eventually it'll be able to do that. It's not going to be able to do that right as it launches.
Okay.
Whereas here with the remote play, they kind of said once remote play is out, this is all it's going to be able to do, and it didn't do any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
If that kind of makes sense.
Okay. Well, if you bought your PlayStation Vita in the U.S. before June 1st, 2012, you can get a $25 check or a $25 PSN credit. If you were looking for the big bucks, you probably have not been in very many class action lawsuits. But $25 is a nice little bonus. Or
I actually woke up to that email.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I read it and I was like, oh man, somebody's trying to steal money from me. I'm not going to give them all my information.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was fake. And then I saw it popping up online. I still think it's fake. Confirmation from somewhere. This is legit.
Vita doesn't get enough love.
I found this. Garri had to correct me the last time we tried to do this, but it says on Engadget, it says you can also choose from one of 3 bundles with decent, if aging, games like the God of War collection and Uncharted Golden Abyss. You must file for compensation by June 29th. You can do that by going to vitaclaims.com. So if you're aching for $25 for PlayStation, just file a claim, wait about 3 years, and you'll get $25.
Yeah, I recommend going with don't get a check.
Don't get a check. Just get the.
That's just get the to get to you.
Just get the credit. Just take the credit.
Unless you want those games, then take the games. But I'd go with the credit.
It's not that worth it. I don't even understand why people do these class action lawsuits. You're not going to get much out of them.
Yeah.
If you're looking for retribution, or if you're just wanting the company to suffer and to pay out all this money, I guess they're.
Yeah, I'd rather hold on to the Vita given the choice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wait, they want me to return my Vita?
No, you can't have returned the Vita. If you returned the Vita for a full refund, you're not eligible for this.
Oh no, I still have my serial code sticker, which is funny because that thing that I need in order to redeem this on my Vita is peeling off, and the day before that email came to me, I was about to just tear it off and throw it away.
Right.
And then the email came in. I was like, oh, maybe I should save it.
Okay, guys. I'm going to do one more story, then a quick little blitz of news, and then we'll go into NPD results. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Crap, I lost my story. 1 second. 1 second. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's about Bethesda. I hate Bethesda. Bethesda at E3 2014 says that it's not going to be talking about Fallout 4. So the question is, well...
2015 or 2014?
2015.
Oh, I thought you said 2014.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, I may be wrong here. Let me double check this. It's not saying it will not be... It's not saying that it's not going to announce Fallout 4. It's saying that if it doesn't announce Fallout 4, then what? What are the possibilities? I think the first one that comes to mind is another Elder Scrolls game. I mean, it's not them. Some people might say, oh, it's too soon. Skyrim was just in 2011. But, I mean, it's not been too soon. It's been a good 4 or 5 years, almost. And, I mean, if it would just probably be an announcement. I mean, it's not like, hey, the game's coming out in a month. You know, we can say, hey, this game's coming out in 2016 or 2017. But here's a trailer. Here, we're working on it. I think Elder Scrolls is a possibility. What about you guys? Any possibilities for Bethesda at E3?
Bethesda didn't do Elder Scrolls Online, right? That was a different company, correct?
No, they did.
They did it? They did do that one?
Yeah, they did it in-house.
Oh, okay. I thought it was another company. Okay.
No, they specifically created ZeniMax Online. They pretty much formed a new studio just to work on that game.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess. I don't know where... I don't know how much of Tamriel is left to explore.
Hey, if they're out of parts, they'll just make new parts. That's what
right?
Mm-hmm. I hate Bethesda.
Well, this is the big question. They are having their own press conference this year. they rented an auditorium and everything. So what could they possibly announce? Like, Bethesda is big, but it's not Ubisoft big to hold their own press conference and announce a bunch of titles.
What are the possibilities that it's going to start a new IP?
Well, obviously there's a huge possibility of that, but
I guess more specifically what I'm asking is if they're going to all this trouble, could it be that they're going to announce a new IP? Because I don't think that they'd rent out a whole auditorium just to announce another Elder Scrolls.
Do we know for sure if it's just one announcement?
No, I don't know. I mean, it probably, we're looking forward to Fallout 4.
If they're going to take an hour to show off one game, that's just terrible.
Yeah, because it's something big like that. That would almost speaks to me like maybe they have several, maybe a new IP as well as a new Elder Scrolls, or maybe even you said no Fallout, right?
No, I thought it was no Fallout, but I misread it. The person who wrote the article that brought this to my mind was just speculating. If not Fallout, what? It's on thegamebolt.com, by the way. Not Gaming Bolt, The Game Bolt, which makes it feel like a ripoff. So, there's that. But I mean,
I think they will show Fallout. There's no way they can't. Whether it's Fallout 4 or Fallout Online, which has been rumored for a long time, or something of Fallout will be at their press conference.
Well, it's not unheard of for a company to have its own conference. I mean, this last E3, Ubisoft had its own conference. And I was going on about how I thought they were really unprofessional for swearing every 15 minutes. I guess they were trying to pander to the more mature audience that was there. But it was kind of transparent, and in my opinion, it looked kind of stupid. But that's a different story. Ubisoft has done a lot of looking stupid since 2014, so that's not anything new. But anyway, it's not unheard of for a company, if it has a couple announcements to make, a few announcements to make, to have its own conference. But I don't think that Ubisoft rented out its own auditorium for that, did it?
I actually think they'll spend quite a bit of time on Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, if they do Elder Scrolls,
especially the console version, because I believe it's coming out that month.
Okay.
They might even go ahead and also announce its first expansion pack as well. I wouldn't be surprised about that.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely new IPs. I believe there's been rumors going on that they are actually working on the next Elder Scrolls game, and they will announce it before they even announce Fallout 4. I think we actually talked about this on RDGH before as well. So there is the possibility that it could be Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay.
But I don't know.
If so, I'm probably not going to buy it until I know that Bethesda's not being stupid again. Because that I was upset. Like, not at the fact that the game wasn't working properly, because, I mean, let's face it, that happens, but at just how they handled everything, the way they responded to the people who were wanting answers, it was like they did not have a PR department,
Yeah.
It made them look stupid. It's like, your game's not working, that's bad enough, but you're not saying anything, and then when people ask, you have the audacity to be rude to them. And I mean, from an official standpoint, the company wasn't rude, but then you have the company's moderators who are representing the company, and they're just being rude to people, and then you have just a lot of silence, you have a lot of nothing. It's like, you can just tell us, hey, this is working, this is not working, we're working on a fix. I'm not asking for constant updates, but just a little something, I don't know, once every 3 months would be nice. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, I hate Bethesda. I don't like Bethesda. I'm ranting right now. Sorry.
I'm in the same boat with you.
Stupid Bethesda. Anyway, the author from The Game Bolt also suggests a sequel for The Wolfenstein: The New Order and a Dishonored 2. Do you think those are pretty likely?
I think Dishonored 2 is a guarantee.
It's a guarantee?
That'd be good.
I didn't play Dishonored.
It was pretty enjoyable. I liked it.
Yes, plus.
Okay.
Download it right now.
Download it right now. Okay. Oh, it's free right now?
Yeah, on PS3.
Oh. Well, I'd have to plug my PS3 in again.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Poor me. To tell the truth, I don't know where my controller is. I'd have to find it. Okay. I'm so sorry. I've neglected my PS3 since I got my PS4.
Just plug in your PS4 controller into it. It works the same.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, it wouldn't be wireless. Not that it matters. I'm just making excuses. Okay. Let's do a quick little blitz of news here. Since our last episode, big news came for those of you who had a PlayStation sub account. That was a big thing, one of the top requested features for PlayStation. If you had a sub account, you were probably under 18 when you joined PlayStation, and your account was thus very limited. Think of it as parental controls to the extreme. However, you were not able to move your account to a master account once you turned 18. That was a big problem. Now you finally can. You can change your sub account to a master account. At the time this happened, you could only do so from Sony's website. You couldn't do so on the console itself, but you could do so on the website, and you still can. I don't know if they've changed it since then. Just search for it on PlayStation.com. It's in their knowledge center. After that, PlayStation TV sales are up 1,272% on Amazon since a price cut. That's right. In British pounds, the PlayStation TV is now £44.99. That caused a skyrocket in the device's sales, over 1,000%, over 1,200% in just 24 hours. It was the 11th most popular item in Amazon's PC and video games category, according to videogamer.com. It before that had ranked at number 151. So in 24 hours, it went from 151 to 11. So there's that. If you don't know what PlayStation TV is, it's kind of like a Vita that you plug into your TV. You can play Vita games on it, PSP games, and PS1 games directly through it, and you can stream PS4 games to another TV within the same home using your PlayStation TV. Other than that, it is essentially another set-top box. I apologize for that sound. My cat just knocked my Xbox controller off of my bed. Thank you, cat. Good grief. Okay, goodness, I lost my other article. Oh, a new Batman Arkham Knight trailer is on the way. It has been delayed. The trailers for the game are being delayed. Imagine that.
Wow.
However, the game director and co-founder of Rocksteady Games, his name is Sefton Hill, he tweeted, "So I promised a trailer date this week, but then we thought of a much more exciting way to do this, so you'll need to wait just a bit longer." He tweeted again, "Not to rub it in, but I reviewed the latest edit, and it's looking sweet. You might well see someone familiar from Arkham City in there." One final tweet, the trailer also shows off a very cool new feature to Batman Arkham that no one outside of Rocksteady and Warner has seen before. So, new feature incoming for Batman. New trailer looking sweet, and, I mean, sounds good to me. That's a quick little news blitz. Anything to comment on right there?
Sounds pretty cool.
Hell yeah. I'm excited. The Arkham City thing is very interesting because he specifically mentioned Arkham City. So I believe it's going to be a character that appeared in Arkham City and not Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming from where the direction the story is going, it's going to be Azrael.
Right.
Who was a side quest in that game.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was one more thing. I mentioned this before about how Phil Spencer wanted E3 to be more about the first-party content. A quote from him was, "Best first-party content year ever." So, there we go.
There was another thing he mentioned, and this is going back to Rare. He mentioned that this is the 30th anniversary since Rare was founded, and he wants to focus on a lot of Rareware IP. That's not Rareware anymore; it's Rare Limited. But he wanted to focus on Rare to celebrate their 30th anniversary. So one of the things you're seeing now is like the inclusion of Conquer Pack and Project Spark. I know some people were kind of iffy on that, and they're now releasing what was it, Team Dakota, I believe they're called, the guys behind Project Spark. They're doing an episodic Conquer's big reunion stuff. Then there's the potential Banjo-Kazooie stuff. So he's announcing like a big year for Rare in particular to celebrate their 30th anniversary. So I think that might also play into their first party stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think anybody should be surprised, if they show something of Battletoads.
Oh, that would be sweet. Weren't they included in the Xbox One version of Shovel Knight?
That I don't know.
I think
Phil Spencer's been sending out a lot of hints of Battletoads recently on his Twitter. And I think the biggest thing, I don't know if you guys read this article. It was published on Kotaku. It was about the team that was working on Phantom Dust before they shut down and Microsoft took the project away from them. In that article, it was mentioned that the head studio, the guys at the head studio that were making Phantom Dust, they wanted to do Battletoads, and Microsoft specifically told them that right now that project is off limits.
Interesting.
So I would not be surprised if you see something from Battletoads at E3.
Oh, that'd be sweet, dude. Battletoads was fun. Hard. Very hard.
I'm just kind of a little iffy at what point did Microsoft acquire the license of Battletoads, and who even owned it before them?
Rare. That was Rare IP.
Rare? Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man.
I'm actually surprised Nintendo let Rare go with so many IPs with them.
Well, I believe what had happened was that Nintendo owned a 49% stake in Rare, and I think Microsoft bought out the dominant half, and Nintendo just said, you know what, just here you go. We'll keep Donkey Kong and some of the other characters that were put in our games. So like characters that Rare created, like Crystal or Tricky from Star Fox Adventures, because it was part of a Star Fox game, it ended up being Nintendo characters. But stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, that stuff ended up going to Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. All right. I hate to cut you guys off, but I don't want the episode to be super, super long. People get bored, I guess. How can you be bored listening to us? Come on.
Come on. It's party over here.
All right. So let's take a look at NPD figures. I'm going to read this as they were published. Overall, just one note here for overall, retail sales are down 6% year over year. So last year, 6% more hardware was sold. Check that out. Software is probably the part that turns heads the most, other than, I guess, the console unit sales. So here's how NPD does this. It names the title of the top 10 games, and after each game it lists a number of systems. It'll list those systems in order from greatest sales to least sales, and those include things like the PC and the Vita and the 3DS. So I'm going to go ahead and read those in order. I'm going to go backwards this time, because I never do. So at number 10, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, selling best on the PS4 and then Xbox One. Number 9, Borderlands: The Handsome Collection, PS4 and then Xbox One. Number 8, NBA 2K15 for PS4, then Xbox One, then 360, then PS3, then PC. Minecraft for Xbox 360, then PS3, Xbox One, and PS4. MLB 15 The Show for PS4, then PS3. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3, and then PC. Mario Party 10 for what else other than the Wii U. Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 3 for Xbox One, PS4, 360, and then PS3. Number 2, Bloodborne for PS4 and PS4 only. Then number 1, Battlefield Hardline for Xbox One, then PS4, 360, PS3, and then PC, not PSC. Any comments on these top 10?
Wow, I was surprised Bloodborne got number 2.
Bloodborne got number 2, which is great for Sony, especially after the Order failed to impress earlier in the year.
Yeah. Like, I actually saw a friend play through it, and yeah, that game is, like, Bloodborne is just gorgeous and hard.
See, I couldn't, because I hate horror. I don't like horror. I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror games. And so when it was first announced, it was like, you know, this is the game that's going to terrify you. Don't play it in the dark and all of this nonsense. It's like, I don't feel like playing this. Is it really that crazy?
No, it's not a scary game. But
yeah, it's very gloomy. It's very dark. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's more horrifying. I mean, if the only thing scary about the game is the difficulty.
like maybe some of the creatures might be a little disturbing that you encounter, but if you're okay with like H.P. Lovecraft stuff, I think you'll be okay with the creatures here.
Yeah, it's very dark, gothic kind of.
Okay. I can do
Would
dark.
Gothic be a good word to describe it? I mean, in some spots, I guess.
Just for reference here, with the exception of Bloodborne, which was an exclusive, PS4 sold more games than any other console on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those 10 games. So PS4 is doing pretty well. Xbox One sold more on 2 of those, and a couple others were exclusives like Mario Party 10, Bloodborne. Minecraft sold best on 360, and
I think
that's it.
To me, the interesting thing here is if you look at Battlefield and Call of Duty, it's not the placement that those two games are in, but it's the systems. Usually, when we looked at Battlefield in the past, Battlefield always sold better on PlayStation, and Call of Duty always sold better on Xbox. It's backwards this time.
That is interesting. Battlefield selling more on Xbox One and Call of Duty selling more on PS4. Keep in mind, however, that this is just for retail sales, as in going to the store, picking up a retail copy. This does not include digital sales, and it does not include bundles.
Ah.
So that's how NPD works.
I also think we can all agree that the reason Final Fantasy Type 0 is even in the top 10 is because of that Final Fantasy 15 demo.
Oh. Oh my goodness, I want Final Fantasy. I don't know which console I'm going to get it for. That's my dilemma now. But there it is.
But the fact that people were selling their demo code on eBay for like $35 and people were buying it just blows my mind.
Oh goodness. Some quick notes, guys. Mario Party 9 sold $290,000. That includes both digital and physical.
I think that's supposed to be 10.
I'm sorry?
It's supposed to be Mario Party 10.
Oh, it says 9. I guess that's a typo. Yeah. Majora's Mask, $184,000. That's digital and physical with $730,000 LTD. I'm still trying to work out what LTD means, but it says LTD. If you can figure it out, good on you. Limited. No, I think it's something to date.
Okay.
I feel like it's something to date, but I don't know what to date. But there we go. Smash Brothers for 3DS, $110,000, digital and physical with 200. Oh, launch to date. Launch to date. So Majora's Mask, $730,000 from launch to date. Smash Brothers for 3DS, $110,000 in the month of March. That's digital and physical with $2.4 million from launch to date. Smash Brothers for Wii U, launch to date, $1.6 million. Mario Kart 8, launch to date, $1.9 million. PS4 was #1 in software sales. Those are the notes here. For hardware, PS4 was the #1 platform, followed by, at least as far as reported platforms go. 3DS was 260 to 270,000 units, and Wii U was 80 to 85,000 units. Wii U hardware is in fact up about 20% from last year for the first 3 months of the year. 3DS hardware is also up about 80% year over year for the first 3 months of the year. That is definitely thanks to the new 3DS launching.
And Mask for sure.
Absolutely. Anything to say on this, guys?
No, it's kind of encouraging to see some Nintendo hardware selling a little bit better. Because Wii U's had a bit of a rough patch. I actually bought the new 3DS and I love it. I think it's the extra thumbstick is it almost it looks like a little nub. It kind of reminds me of like those old laptops that had that little nub that's supposed to be your mouse. You just very lightly press it and the cursor would move. Yeah,
those I remember. Those.
It doesn't move. It's weird.
Yeah, you just press it and the cursor would move. But the 3D depth is better, and the camera automatically adjusts when you tilt it, so it tracks your face. And as soon as you shift, the thing adjusts, and it's really neat.
My goodness, I was disappointed because I got my 3DS in April of last year around my birthday. I got a Pokemon Y one, and I was proud of myself because they were hard to find when I got them. I got not the Pokemon Y, the Pokemon X one, the blue one, and then just half a year later, they announced a new one. So I was like, eh.
I think what's interesting also is I think Nintendo is the only one who combines and tells you digitally and physical sales. Sony and Microsoft don't do that, and I wonder why.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to remember previous times we did this, but I really can't. They didn't do that for every one of them. Smash for Wii U, they just said launch date. Same for Mario Kart 8. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like I might have seen them do it before, but I couldn't tell you a specific time.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you for sure if I'm correct or not. So there we go.
Yeah, but Nintendo, I honestly just see them continuously going up in sales throughout the month, simply because of just the titles that are finally coming out. I think we talked about this for the longest time, where we always said, once Mario Party or Mario Kart comes out, the sales are going to skyrocket. Once Smash Brothers comes out, sales will skyrocket.
A lot of people are looking forward to Splatoon. I certainly am. And that's going to be different.
It's a new IP for Nintendo, so we'll see what it does. But even now, you have Star Fox coming out. You have Xenoblade Chronicles X, which looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
We'll have seen that. Zelda has been delayed to 2016, but there's now rumors circulating that there's the Twilight Princess is going to be coming to the 3DS as well. I don't know if you guys saw that. That broke earlier today, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can find it. I guess some guy got a notification on Street Pass of, I guess, a developer or something playing Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess 3D through Street Pass. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know, but
that's very.
I can see it happening. It is a Wii game, so they could easily port it over at this point, in my opinion. But Nintendo still has a bunch of stuff coming.
I think so. I'm looking forward to basically what all the big three have to announce come E3, because I think there's going to be some fantastic stuff on all three camps.
Yeah. I expect Skyward Sword to come out on the Wii U as well.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Just like they did with Wind Waker. So.
And what, you think they'll give it the HD polish?
Yeah, why not? I mean, you delayed Zelda to 2016, which I guess angered a lot of people. I don't know why.
I have come to expect that from Nintendo.
Nintendo has delayed Zelda every time they've announced it. So
yeah,
I do believe Nintendo is going to have a very strong year at the end when it's all said and done.
I hope so.
Oh my goodness, that reminds me of Valve. When they were launching Portal 2 and they delayed Portal 2, that disappointed a lot of people, but I loved their statement. I'm trying to see if we can find it. Oh, here it is. Here's what they said, and you should apply this to any or most game delays. I'll say it that way. The reason they delayed Portal 2, the reason they said they delayed Portal 2, making games is hard. He said that public safety concerns factored into the decision to delay Portal 2 in conjunction with Aperture Science. The quote is, "Even though Portal 2 will arrive slightly later than planned, all life on Earth won't instantaneously stop as every molecule in your body explodes at the speed of light, which is what would happen should a rip ever appear in the fabric of Valve time. Valve is a studio that has become known for releasing games when they're done and not before, leading to extended development times for many of its top titles, including Team Fortress 2 and the Half-Life 2 episodes." The statement added, "Also, the game will be even better," at which point the companies realized that they missed, quote, "an historic opportunity to create the first product delay press release to mention that a product is being delayed to make it worse." They could have made history. I love Valve for that.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome humor. I like that. That's a funny way to tell your fans, hey, yeah, we're delaying it, but don't worry, it's going to be even better.
It's not, and it's true. I mean, the world's not going to end, and they're delaying the game to improve it. Because you know that if they just released the game now and there were things wrong with it, people would be upset about that. So and it would look bad on you too. It's better to delay it and just make it right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can't get mad at a developer when they announce a delay in the game going, listen, we really need to, we feel it's not ready yet. We want to give the best I actually respect that. I'm like, okay, it sucks, but, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Right.
Oh, also, before we go, I also want to say this is, I think, the second month in a row that Microsoft has not released hardware sales for the Xbox One as well.
No, I was actually going to mention that. I mean, Xbox was really strong over the holidays. It broke PS4's winning streak. PS4 was rather quiet over the holidays, I guess in preparation for its PlayStation Experience event. At the same time, Xbox was really pushing things. It dropped the Xbox One to $350, which is $50 less than the PS4. It went from being $100 more to $50 less. That's pretty crazy. It had games coming out. It had a lot of fire behind it. And it beat PlayStation 4 for both November and December of 2014. However, despite the fact that they have now made that price drop a permanent arrangement, the Xbox One, as far as I know, is permanently $350, whereas the PS4 is still $400. Despite that, I mean, PlayStation is still selling stronger right now. This is the first time I'm from the 7th generation. I'm used to hearing, oh, everything's Xbox. Now it feels like, you know, PlayStation 4 is finally getting some steam, and, you know, good for them. Xbox is not going to be outdone, though. Xbox is fighting, Phil Spencer's doing great, and that's a good console. That's a great console. So, I mean, all I have to say about it all is it's going to be a great generation, and the gamers are going to benefit big time. I am just very against fanboys.
I think we're all against fanboys.
I hate fanboys. I hate fanboys more than I hate Bethesda. I hate fanboys because there's no sense. There's no sense in limiting yourself, and there's no sense in hating other people or hating games just for being in league with a company that is not a company that you happen to use. That is absolutely asinine. You know, that's why we're called For the Gamers. You know, there's a difference between a gamer and a fanboy. You know, we're for the gamers. I hate fanboys. Goodness, I hate them. And don't be mistaken. When I say fanboys, I don't mean like, oh, you know, I'm a fan of Xbox. I'm a fan of PS4. No, it's healthy to have preferences. You know. Yeah. It's definitely healthy to have preferences. I mean the people that are going to bite your head off the moment you mention that you like PlayStation, or the moment you mention that you like Xbox.
Or that you criticize the console, the person's preference, console of preference.
Exactly. Exactly. It's healthy to have preferences. It's not healthy to take them to such ridiculous levels. So, anyway, that's my mini rant. I like to rant. Ranting is healthy. It's refreshing for the soul.
As much as gamer fanboys piss you off, nothing will be worse than comic book fanboys.
I don't know. I read my first comic book at work recently, and I loved it. I loved this comic book. Doom War. It was about Dr. Doom.
Oh, nice.
And then, so to hear, this is the first time hearing that there are comic book fanboys. And I am going to do my best to avoid them completely. I am not going to look on the internet for them. I'm not going to read any comments because I do not need... I'm just getting into comics. I'm enjoying them. I do not need that ruined.
Yeah, I was just about to tell you, whatever you do, don't read any comments on the Batman vs. Superman trailer that came out.
Oh, no, I don't need to. I've been hearing those at work. I've been hearing at work.
You don't need to read them. You could feel them.
Yeah.
I've been hearing amazing things about the Star Wars trailer. I've been hearing terrible things about the Batman.
That's the same thing. Don't go there because the Star Trek fanboys are just tearing that thing apart.
Who cares? I don't give a crap. It's a movie. I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna like it. And guess what? The world's not gonna end. So go ahead and be upset. I am gonna sit here with my popcorn and enjoy my damn movie.
That's exactly what I said. I don't know why people are angry. You're getting 6 comic book movies next year. You should be happy, not pissed off.
Humans!
Live and let live.
Humans. Chill.
Yeah.
Chill, humans. Okay.
It's like they want a monopoly, but then they get pissed off on it.
People are weird, man. You want to know how weird people are? Work at a theme park. Or a doctor's. I mean, never mind. There are lots of explanations of how people are weird. But anyway, we are digressing here. Guys, it's been a great episode. Pedro, I'm glad you're here, dude.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I can't wait for you to meet Ben, who is ecstatic about the fact that Goat Simulator is now on Xbox One.
I just noticed that.
He wants to buy an Xbox One specifically for Goat Simulator.
For all of us.
He wants to buy us Xbox Ones for Goat Simulator. I have an Xbox One. He might still buy me an Xbox One for Goat Simulator. He loves Goat Simulator. I
wonder if he bought Bread Simulator that just came out.
There's a bread simulator. What the heck are you going to do with a bread simulator?
Yeah, you play a piece of bread trying to get to the toaster.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I can't.
I think it's called I Am Toast.
Why?
The game was called.
Why? Why bread? Why? What is this? I don't understand. Pedro, explain this.
Oh, this is the first I'm hearing of it myself.
Oh,
I think they just announced them for PS4 as well.
Wow.
Ben's not here to give us a new name at the end. He's been doing that. Anyway. So guys, be sure to follow us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at 4G only. Nope, that's not a cell phone company. At 4GONLY. Number 4, please. 4G only. Send us your tweets if you agreed with something, if you disagreed with something, if you love us, if you hate us. Send us a tweet. We'll read it on the podcast next week. And it will be a lot of fun. Those of you who were listening to us before we disappeared, I would love to get you all back on our side. 4G only on Twitter. You can send us an email, 4geocast@gmail.com. Number 4 again, 4geocast@gmail.com. There's something that I am bouncing around in my head. Because, again, we're a small podcast. You look at something like, Kind of Funny podcast by Game Over Greggy. And the thing about Game Over Greggy is he's been with IGN for a while, and IGN is huge. So he's had a little assistance getting a fan base before he decided to go rogue, so to speak, and make Kind of Funny. And Kind of Funny is a great podcast. I recommend it, by the way. Although I recommend ours more, just in case you're wondering. But there's something I'm bouncing around in my head because, I mean, there are some costs associated with running this thing. Ben has been paying for our Podbean. So have I, actually, over the last couple of months since we disappeared. Podbean's just been pulling $10 a month out of my bank, and I'm just like, wait, what the heck? Oh, yeah, that's right. So, there's that. I'd like to get us onto SoundCloud. I don't know if you guys like SoundCloud. SoundCloud's huge. Problem is, with the SoundCloud account, you can get a free account, but it lets you do, 3 gigabytes in total. Not 3 gigabytes a month, 3 gigabytes in total, unless you pay $15 a month for a total podcast. I mean, one of the dreams here with 4GO is to kind of make it more self-sufficient. If you might be interested in donating, send us a tweet. I mean, if that's a thing, it's not yet, but, if we could possibly start to get that, I mean, if we could get some help for things like SoundCloud, things like Podbean. If we can take those bills and kind of make the podcast self-sufficient like that, if you guys would be willing to, hey, we'd appreciate that. If that's something you might be interested in doing, in contributing, not much, maybe just a couple dollars or something like that, hey, we'd appreciate that. Just send us a tweet. Tell us if you might be interested, and depending on what happens, hey, we might do it. Who knows? I mean, even if we don't get a full, $25 a month for Podbean and for SoundCloud, I mean, even if we got a little bit less, that would help. So we'll see what happens. But send us a tweet, 4G only, or an email at 4geocast@gmail, and let us know how you feel. We'd love to hear from you. I hate asking for money. It feels icky, but,
I'm not. Give me money.
No, don't. What are you going to do with money?
I'm gonna sustain 4GO.
Oh, you're gonna sustain 4GO. Well, why can't 4GO sustain 4GO?
Or I'll buy games and toys and stuff.
Of course, that's what I was thinking. That's what I thought.
Look upon my amiibo collection.
I wish I had an amiibo collection. Maybe they ship more than 10 of them to the store.
Nintendo's killing me, man.
I mean, if we start getting a lot of donations, which I don't know, I don't foresee, at least not right away. If we start getting a lot of donations, I mean, it would be great if we could have new editing software, if we could have audio equipment. All of this stuff, any donations we get would go directly to the podcast. It's not going to our pockets unless we get $1 million. We might take little cuts. I don't know, but that's not going to happen. So, no, this is all going to go straight to the podcast if it works out, toward just the fees associated with getting us on the air, onto iTunes, onto SoundCloud, that sort of thing. And if there's extra, we could probably start saving for some audio equipment, because I'm right now using an Xbox headset, which is just my own. It's just all I had. And if we could get just the members of the podcast a couple microphones, just so that we don't sound crappy, that would be great. Like one of the requirements for Stitcher is having good quality. So to uphold that would be awesome. So I don't know. Any donations we get would go straight to the podcast. That's my point. So you don't have to worry about that. Just send us a tweet. Tell us if you might be interested. Guys, next week we plan to do 4GO8. I don't foresee anything blocking that. I don't know. What about you guys? You think you might be good for an 8?
I should be good, but I also have another podcast to do.
What? You're cheating on us? What?
It's an official podcast.
What? We're an official podcast. What are you talking about?
Oh, the sting. The sting of betrayal.
We're doing our first ever comic book podcast, so...
A comic book podcast?
Oh, that's cool.
Wait, are the PSU guys doing it, or is it just like a...
It's a PSU special.
Oh, it's a special. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Dane involved?
Maybe.
Dane does the specials. He likes to do the specials.
Oh, well, I'll be hosting this one.
You'll be hosting. Okay.
Because I'm a comic book guy.
Did you host the last 4GO? I think you did.
I did host the last 4GO.
I think you did. That's cool. Okay.
It's fun.
All right, so music. Our intro this week is Overclocked Remix's first remix from Beautiful Joe from the GameCube in 2003. It's called Not Your Above Average Joe. Here's a quote from OCR directly. It's an upbeat and unapologetically fun rock arrangement from the one and only Ivan Hackstock. And frankly, I agree, actually. It's a great song. If you want to hear the whole thing, and you do, I'll tell you how in just a moment. Fantastic song from Ivan Hackstock and OC Remix. Our outro this week is OC Remix's first ever remix from Sonic Chaos. Lots of firsts here. Sonic Chaos released on the Game Gear console in 1993. How's that for a throwback? The song's called Smooth Dream, and it's by Lady Wildfire and OC Remix newcomer Mr. Noob. It is indeed smooth as butter, so enjoy it. You will hear it start very shortly. To hear these and thousands more incredible video game remixes in full and for free, head to ocremix.org. Seriously, tons of great music over there. Guys, I am gonna tell you this right now. I've been getting some spam. I've been doing my, I've been saying things like my League of Legends name and all that stuff, and I've been getting random people that I don't know and that don't really appear to be listeners of the podcast, but appear to be just like trolls.
Well, that's where your spam is coming from. League of Legends, dude.
Right. Well, I'm just gonna give you my Twitter. If you want to reach me on Twitter, I'm goglenn _ at GOGLENN_. If you want to send us an email, just use the 4GOcast. I'll respond to you appropriately from there. Gary, you have access to that email address. Pedro, if you decide you want to become a regular, you'll have access to that email address. So don't feel like you have to give any contact info that you don't want to. I mean, we love you guys, listeners, but we don't want spam. So, just to keep our email accounts and whatnot secure. Gary, how can people reach you?
You can reach me on Twitter at Gagwaush. That's GAGLAUSH.
All right. And Pedro, any outlets for people to contact you if you don't have to? Just saying.
Not quite yet. I think I'm a remain anonymous for now.
Anonymous. You're not anonymous. We know your name is Pedro.
Well, okay, my name is out there. Fair enough.
You're Pedro the Birdman Gonzalez, a DC character.
Yes, that is out there. But other than that, I'm in the shadows.
Okay, if you want to contact Pedro, just use 4GOcast@gmail. We'll get the message to him. And guys, that's it for 4GO7. Long awaited, and I hope it was worth it. Glad to have you on the show, Pedro. Same for you, Gary. Looking forward to having Ben on in the very, very near future. Until then, stay safe, game hard, and, well, Ben's not here to give us a new name, so how about, Gary, you give it a try. It doesn't have to be goat-themed, but give it a try.
I have to think about this. I can't just pull it out.
You can't? You do?
Yeah.
Okay, you can do it next time.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Okay.
For Gary only.
No! For Gary only.
It's too late, I did it.
Okay, no, okay. Alright, guys, we'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.